Good evening, everyone. All right. Welcome to Alumni Gymnasium here at Florida Christian School on a truly special night as we induct 9 new members into the Athletics Hall of Fame. My name is Jason Jackson. I am the radio play-by-play announcer and television host for the 3-time NBA champion Miami Heat. It's my honor to be with you as your MC once again. It's my second time around. I'm happy to be here. The men and women on this stage behind me are being inducted, having showcased unique spirit and character that have created the Patriot athletic legacy. To begin the ceremony, I'd like to ask Mr. Tito Hernandez, high school chaplain and graduate from the class of 2004, to welcome everyone and open our ceremony in prayer. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Good evening, family. It is an incredible honor of mine to be here, not just in the presence of Miami legend Mr. Jackson, but certainly in the presence of legends here at Florida Christian School, men and women who not only contributed in great ways on the field, on the court, through their sport, but certainly in the hallways and classrooms here as patriots, building on the legacy of what FCS is. So before we do anything else, just want to thank you for being here, for supporting Patriots Athletics, the legacy of what Florida Christian School is. But let's pause for a moment and ask the Lord to be with us here this evening. Lord, we thank you so much, more than anything else, for the gift of Jesus and the cross, through whom we have access to forgiveness, God, redemption, and eternal hope that we could hold on to. Lord, we thank you for Florida Christian School that has been a beacon for the gospel for nearly 60 years here in this community. God, a place where family is built, community is created, Lord, and that we can look at the legacy of what it means to be an FCS Patriot. Lord, we certainly thank you for the men and women here tonight whom we will honor and commemorate. Lord, building on the legacy of Patriot Athletics, God, being sources of inspiration, of encouragement for the generations that followed them. So we just pray tonight, God, as we honor them, that you would be reflected and emulated in everything that happens here tonight. Lord, and as we honor these lives, we pray that it would be another opportunity to glorify and honor you in all that we do. We thank you, Lord. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Just a word to all of our inductees tonight in your remarks. Mr. Hernandez just talked to God in less than 2 minutes. So govern yourself accordingly. Thanks again, Tito. We appreciate it. We have an impressive lineup of athletes and coaches to honor this evening, each with a memorable story to tell about FCS and their athletic experiences. As we prepare for the ceremony, I'd like to start by recognizing a group of current members of Hall of Famers who are in the audience today. Will you please stand so we can honor you? Current members of the Hall of Fame. Put your hands together for these fantastic individuals. Great to have everybody home. Now allow me to introduce those on the stage tonight. First, Florida Christian's head of school, Dr. Wayne Smith. Absolutely. You should definitely clap for Wayne. Athletic Director, class of 1993 graduate and Hall of Famer, Mrs. Beth King. And high school principal and 1993 graduate, Mr. David King. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. King to present Hall of Fame blazers to current members who have not yet received them. After receiving their blazers, each Hall of Famer will say a few words and then sign the gold ball or equipment representing their sport. This will be displayed in the trophy case outside Alumni Gymnasium as a lasting legacy. Tonight, we honor first Tom Fowler, class of 1977, baseball.
Good evening. I will be giving remarks for two of the inductees tonight, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the very beginning. What I was going to say, he's already told him my name is Tom Fowler. I was one of the originals in this school back in 1968-69, one of 100. When the whole school was in the admin building. Which way is the admin building? That way. The whole school was, K through 12. My father was the athletic director. He coached all 4 sports. My father was the 3rd principal of the school. And so this is where I went to school. This is all I knew was Florida Christian School. The thing I really appreciate about tonight is that Beth, the committee, and Florida Christian has made the effort to go back into, and you'll hear it tonight, go back to the original people who were here. Florida Christian would not be here, and I'm not putting anybody down. This is the truth. Florida Christian would not be here had it not been for those 100 kids, those 8 teachers. That's all they had were 8 teachers. Had they not done that, would we be here tonight? I don't know. But they trailblazed. In Deuteronomy 32:7, it says this: remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. And what's crazy about it is I was in the 4th grade, but now I'm one of those old generations. And you got to be kidding me. I've been out of school since 1977. I'm on Social Security and Medicare. And I didn't know if I was going to make it down driving in, one day. I thought that was too far for me. Hebrews 10:32, remember those earlier days when after you had received the light, when you endured in a great conflict full of suffering. And there was suffering. There's been suffering. Every school's got suffering. Every family, every parent, every athlete has suffering. And tonight I'm so thankful for Beth and everybody that you all have decided to honor those who rightfully deserve to be in the hall. And so with that, I'm going to say goodbye until I meet again.
Tom, thank you very much. Next up, we have Kelly King Bonner, class of 1996, volleyball and softball.
Hello, and thank you. What an honor it is to be back again tonight. Some may say this thing might be a little rigged, little family affair, but I think they just gave us old folks this because we didn't play with all these amenities that these kids have today, and we were out here on asphalt. My kid still doesn't believe that I played volleyball out on asphalt here, so I think maybe they just felt a little guilty. First, I just wanted to say thank you to my parents who made such a sacrifice for us to be able to go here. Obviously, it was truly a family affair within my whole family. But I thank you for just all my cherished time that I had here. I cherished my time from the lessons that I learned from Coach Thies, who impacted the occupation that I still have to this day, to Coach Stone, who taught me lessons on and off the field about character that still stay with me today, and even more so from all the faculty that was here that instilled in me just to walk with Christ and who he was. I still remember all the scriptures I learned behind those walls. I could still sing every Salty song from our 2nd grade performance if you asked me to. So it was truly an honor to be here today and to be recognized. Thank you.
Next up tonight from the class of 1995 for volleyball, basketball, and softball, Arlene Tur.
Thank you. I didn't know basketball. Wow. I fouled out every game. Okay, so I'm going to have to cut this short. You said 2 minutes talking to God. Okay, I'll try to make it short. So, thank you all. This is so exciting. I got inducted a couple of years ago, but I never got to do this. I missed it. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay, good. So, it's such an honor to be here tonight and be able to welcome the new inductees for 2025. And yes, it's great. I'm glad that everybody was recognized. It's never too late. I love that we have Mr. Arnold up here. This is so exciting. He just said, don't talk too much, Arlene. He remembers his class where he put me in the back, and he's with my friend, and he's like, just color. Just so I wouldn't. But yes, I wanted to take a moment and thank all the wonderful coaches and teachers and the staff at FCS who created an environment that was not just about excellence and athletics. There was a safe place that fed our confidence and our spirituality and provided a sense of family, which I'm happy to see still is the case. And they were more like parental figures, and the coaches weren't just focused on our athletic skills. They were always pouring into our characters and focused on our personal growth. So for that, I'm eternally thankful to all the coaches, even Coach Stevens and Rivera, who had me as the cable girl running after them when there was no Bluetooth or whatever, and I was dodging headphones in the football games. It was quite fun. Volleyball, I went on to play volleyball, and everything I learned from Coach Stone on and off the court, as like Kelly said, my teammate, we had so much fun. And it just stayed with me, and FCS holds a very dear part of my heart, and I'm happy to be back. So congratulations to the new inductees, and thank you so much.
And now it's time for our new Hall of Fame inductees, the class of 2025. Their names are in your program, 7 athletes, 2 coaches, so sit back and enjoy the stories of these remarkable people. First, the athletes. These are the individuals who have worn red, white, and blue and delivered memories that last to this day. To be eligible, an athlete must be at least 5 years out of Florida Christian and demonstrated the highest caliber of athletic achievement while also distinguishing themselves in the community. We have 7 of these deserving individuals who will be inducted by someone very special to them. Our first inductee from the class of 1973 is Scott Getz for track and field. Presenting Scott today is his friend and Hall of Famer, Tom Fowler from the class of 77. And presenting Scott's blazer will be his former teammate, Mike Weaver from the class of 1973. Scott Getz.
In 1971, this tall 6'3", were you 6'3" back then? I was 6 foot, and I'm not 6 foot anymore, but this tall, whatever he was, blonde Nordic from Montana, showed up on this campus. It was crazy. His name was Scott Getz. He was here for 2 years. Did he live with a family member? Was it your uncle and aunt? And he came in and he wanted to play football. He wanted to play sports. Well, my father wasn't going to turn him down by any stretch of the imagination. So he came in, and in football, he was all county, first team. He was all region, first team. That was football. But then in track and field, he went out, and the Miami Herald said, or actually Miami News said this. The first time he threw the discus, he threw it 117 feet. And his teammate was Mike, and Mike told me he threw it 103 feet. And I thought, oh, that's not very good. But then I saw he threw it 117. I thought, well, that's not so bad, I guess. Whatever. He threw it 117. But then it said, and I want to make sure I get this right. After he threw that, he started working. And then he went from one, next time he threw it, it was 124 feet. Coaches loved that, 7 feet improvement. 135, getting better. Then he went 144. As a junior, he won the district and he went to state. He set the state record as a junior at 151 feet. Problem is, the guy that threw after him set the new record, at 155 feet. So Scott held it probably for what? 3 minutes. You know, but it was still the record. But the next year, he set the state record as a senior with a throw of 165 feet, 6 inches. He went to the state and won state. He was the first one, you see it up there. He was the first state champion in the school. And he threw at the state 163 feet, 6 inches. What was great in the Herald, or in the news, it said that he won the district with the 165.6, and the second place was 40 feet behind him. How would you like to have been that guy? Say, I came in second, 40 feet difference. Scott left, and he left here and went to Liberty and played football at Liberty, where he became an All-American his senior year at Liberty University. Scott got married. He married Amy right here. They've been married for 46 years. There should be a hall of fame for people married 46 years. I'm serious about that. 46 years. Congratulations, Amy. He left when he got out of Liberty. He went into ministry. He worked at a rival school here in Dade County, of which I will not name. They do not need to be named for that. They don't even exist anymore. That's what's great about it. This school's flourishing. They're out of here. But then he went into ministry, and he works as a coach. He does coaching for pastors, and he's been doing that, I think he told me, about 15 years. Scott is a gentle giant, as is the other person I'll be speaking to. I've had some things in my family. And he would call me and just say, "How are you doing?" I was in 8th grade when he graduated. And I don't think Scott ever talked to me when I was in the 8th grade. But then again, what senior does talk to 8th graders, right? But I don't think I was just in 8th grade. He is one of what this school was built on, what this school believes in. Scott personifies it. There was a song, and you probably heard the song, which I just forgot it. We sang it every time, and I got the words here. Every time we went, "To God be the glory." And my mother rewrote those words. And every time we went to a game, win or lose, somebody on that bus, it was usually the cheerleaders, would start singing this song. And here's what it said: "To God be the glory, great things he has done. He raised up our school so that souls could be won. Founded to serve him, united we stand. We give him the glory, great things he has done." Scott Getz personifies what this school was built on. And I'm happy to welcome. Mike was one of his teammates. He graduated in 1972 as well.
Good evening. Well, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Tom. We could tell more stories if we wanted to. And Mike, you've always been a great friend. I guess I could tell the stories of when we skipped school and would go down swimming and all sorts of stuff, but I won't tell too many of those. But I want to thank Beth for putting this all together, Beth King, for all the details of the events tonight. Thank you. Can we give her a hand? Well, I'm truly honored and humbled to stand before you today as an inductee of Florida Christian's Hall of Fame. This school, and primarily the teachers and coaches, have played a huge part in shaping who I am today. If you're wondering how a 16-year-old kid from Montana ended up at Florida Christian, the journey began at a family reunion in South Dakota. And that's where my uncle came. Now, my uncle began to tell me about Jesus. And, of course, my cousins warned me about him. They would say, he's going to tell you about Jesus. He's going to want you to pray a prayer, do that, and he'll leave you alone. So I was smart. So I listened, I repeated his prayer, and then I went on my way. Well, I went back to Montana, and it was a few weeks later that my uncle gave me a call and said, hey, Scott, would you like to come down to Miami? The first thing that went through my mind was beaches and bikinis. Yeah, I'm coming. I can't wait. Short time later, I was in Miami. And I was hanging out with a bunch of kids, and, we went out to the beach, surfing, cookouts. We had a great time. And then it was a Thursday night. They invited me to something that was called Ranch. It was actually a Bible study for teenagers. And there was a man, Mel's Carbonell, and he explained to me 2 Corinthians 5:21. And what he said was basically that God loved me. He paid for my sins. If I would trust Christ as my Savior, that I could have eternal life. And then he said this, and the Bible was written to navigate you through life. Well, I trusted Christ as my Savior that night, and everything changed for me. I returned to Montana, but my persistent uncle kept calling. And he said, Scott, how would you like to go to a Christian school? I'd never heard of a Christian school before. I said, what in the world is that? He goes, it's just like your school in Montana. And they teach the Bible. Well, that was very curious to me. You see, my home life was not very stable. I remember when my mom and dad first divorced each other. A few years later, they remarried each other. It's like, why do we ever get married? Or why did we ever get divorced? And so they got remarried. A short time later, they go, oh, I remember why we got divorced. And they got divorced again. And then they said, why did we ever get divorced? And so they remarried each other. So unstable life, to say the least. And although my mom and dad they were very religious at the time, they did not know how to get along with each other. And I wanted my life to thrive. I just didn't want it to exist like they were. So pretty soon after my uncle had given me that invitation, I was on the plane back to Miami. And I found myself walking the halls of Florida Christian, where the teachers and coaches, they would answer my questions from a biblical worldview. There were coaches that took me under their wing. Coach Fowler took me under his wing and showed me that being a Christian was more about the school I attended. It was more than the athletic field or a future occupation that I would have. There were teachers and staff who challenged me. I'm so thankful for that. For those lessons went far beyond the classroom or the ball field. They were laying a foundation for my life. High school for me was absolutely unforgettable because people cared. They loved me, and I loved them. And we became a family that I always wanted to have as a teenager. As I've contemplated tonight or this evening, I realized that this is not just about how I excelled athletically, but it's a reflection of where I've come from. I'm proud to be a boy from Montana that walked the halls of Florida Christian and learned about Jesus. Recently we were cleaning out the basement to make more room, to make a bunk room for the grandkids. And I came upon this old tin can, and it was kind of heavy. I thought, I wonder what was in here. So I took it over to my workbench, and I dumped it out on the workbench. And there it was. There were the medals that I had collected from high school. All county, when I won state, when I won the Florida relays. But when I dumped those medals out, the memories came flooding back to my mind. They were not about winning or being all state or all county. It wasn't at that. The memories that I cherish the most are the people who invested in me, who loved me, and helped me become a Christ follower. To the staff, faculty, coaches, board members, thank you for teaching, guiding, and tolerating students that are curious about life. Maybe they step outside the boundaries a little bit, but you play a huge role in their life because you never know about their home life. If you're a current student, remember that success doesn't always look the way you expect it to be. Two of the greatest lessons I learned from my coaches, from Coach Fowler, first was the value of feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Feedback is to make you better. So learn to be open to instruction, correction, and feedback. And the second lesson I learned from Coach Fowler was this. If you get knocked down, it's not whether you get knocked down, but it's whether you get back up. And those two things, being open to feedback and getting up when you get knocked down, served me well on the athletic field, but really they served me well all through life. And those lessons, I still practice today. When I get knocked down, I get back up. I keep going. And I would add this, that the Bible is the best playbook to help you navigate life. So thank you for this incredible honor. I'm deeply grateful and proud to be a part of the Florida Christian legacy. Thank you.
All right. Next up, bit of a family affair. Our next inductees are from the class of 1989, Ginger Gravlin Poulos and Heather Gravlin Camargo for swimming. Presenting Ginger and Heather today is their former teacher, Jim Arnold, followed by a message from their FCS swimming sponsor and FCS Hall of Fame coach, Charlie Z's.
Thank you, Jason. I want to thank Tom for recognizing foundational aspects of how Florida Christian came about. I had the opportunity of spending 44 years of my life here, and so I've seen the change, but it's always good to go back and recognize those individuals that have laid the foundational blocks of which they've been built upon. And with Heather and Ginger, on a very personal note, I would like to publicly express the impact that these two young women had on my perspective of women's sports. During their time here, I coached girls softball. That was back in the day, to where we had slow pitch softball. I had coached males up to that point, and all of a sudden I've got the softball team. And it was different. My perspective of girls' athletics was different. But then we had Heather and Ginger. And I watched and I realized their dedication. I talked to them at times and they were getting up, I believe you had to get up at 6 a.m. or you had practice at 6. Okay, they were up at 4:30 year round to go practice. Now, yes, we're in Miami. But you know what? For Miamians, when it gets down in the 60s, it's cold. And yet these two, their dedication to their sport, they were in an outdoor pool practicing before school. And you realize the hard work and the discipline that was taking on them. And yet, they were the top academic scholars that we had. And never once, as their teacher, did they ever give me the excuse for not having work to be turned in because, I had to get up at 4:30. I had practice. We had a meet. I'm tired. No. They fulfilled that responsibility. But more so, in my mind, was their loyalty to Florida Christian School. You know, even back there in the 80s, recruiting was rampant with some schools. And these two young ladies were constantly being recruited to go to other schools, but they stayed here at Florida Christian School. Their loyalty spoke volumes. And so they became that, in my mind, the foundational building block for our girls' athletic program. As the athletic director at that time, I know this is going to sound bad, and for you female athletes, I apologize. But in my mind, we were simply, okay, we offered girls athletics because we had to offer girls athletics. It wasn't that important. But watching Heather and Ginger, it became very important in my mind. And it changed my perspective about women's performance. And so I personally feel that these two are truly deserving of this honor of being inducted into the Florida Christian Hall of Fame. I want to go over some individual statistics for each one of these. And we have with Ginger, as was said by Jason, she was of the class of 1989. Now, Ginger quickly made her mark in athletics at Florida Christian School, where she and her sister paved the way for FCS swimming by representing the school in high school competition. Excelling in the 200 and the 500 freestyle, she placed second at districts and advanced to the state championship for senior year. After graduation, Ginger continued her swimming career at the University of Miami on an academic scholarship, earning both her bachelor's and master's degrees in business administration. She went on to build a distinguished career as a teacher and a coach, remaining active in education and swimming, and was most recently named the Sun Sentinel's high school swim coach for the year of 2024-2025. Grateful for the strong academic and spiritual foundation she received at FCS, Ginger credits her teaching dedication to Christ and the love that they showed every student as examples that she continues to strive to emulate. Heather, her sister, again a graduate of 1989, was one of the most accomplished swimmers in FCS history. Heather earned first team all-county honors all 4 years of high school and was named the Miami Herald Swimmer of the Year in '88 and in '89. She captured 3 consecutive district titles in both the 200 and the 500-yard freestyle events and was the 3-time state qualifier, finishing second in the 200-yard and third in the 500-yard freestyle in 1989. That same year, Heather competed at the USA Swimming National Championships against Olympian Janet Evans, placing 9th, and at the Olympic Sports Festival, where she medaled in 3 events. First in the 400 meter, second in the 800 meters, and 5th in the 200 meter freestyle. Heather went on to swim for the University of Miami on a full athletic scholarship and was honored as the 1993 NCAA Woman of the Year for the state of Florida. After college, She became a successful open water competitor, placing 8 times in the 12.5-mile swim around Key West, winning in 2008, and competing 66 miles over 4 legs of the 8-bridge Hudson River swim. So obviously, with their resume, it's obvious why they're being inducted this evening into the Florida Christian Hall of Fame.
Charlie Zeese, Coach Zeese here from Crossville, Tennessee, class of 1975 to 2008. I'm here to present the Ginger and Heather Gravelin, the 2 women swim team from Florida Christian. In the 1990s, Coach Andrews asked me to sign a slip from the state of Florida so that we could start a swim team at Florida Christian School. No pool, no swim coach. The accolade it should be going to is Mr. and Mrs. Gravelin, who took them all over the place in order to swim. Here's Heather, here's Ginger, the Gravelin swim team.
Oh, good evening. Didn't know I was going to have to change on stage. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm a little nervous, so please forgive me. This is, I don't know, I teach hundreds of students all the time, but this is a little different, a little special. I did write down a few notes, and I'll try to keep it not too long. First of all, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to the Florida Christian Athletic Department, the administration, staff, and this is such a huge and unexpected honor. I'd also like to thank Coach Zeese, who I believe was very instrumental in nominating us for this. And over the last few years, that's one of the great things about social media is you get to reconnect with people. I'd also like to thank my family who's here tonight. One of my sons is able to be here. I have a daughter and 2 other sons. 2 of the boys are at college, and my daughter's in an important rehearsal tonight, so she can't be here. But my mom's here, and my husband of 26 years is here as well. Not 46, but we're working on 46. As well as my sister and her husband's entire family. So thank you so much for that. In a few months, I guess the theme here is all, aging and getting old, and I'm right there too. In a few months, in the eyes of the government and then in businesses who offer discounts, I'm going to officially be a senior citizen. And although aging presents all kinds of problems, I got to admit I'm actually looking forward to it, because as my dad would say, one of his favorite jokes is, getting old stinks, but it sure beats the alternative. And, and I know that he was joking, of course, because in reality as Christians we know that the alternative is far more wonderful than what we experience here on earth. And now I'm going to get a little emotional. This joyful anticipation, looking forward to the future without dread, is something that we can enjoy, knowing that death is just a door to everlasting life because of Jesus and because of the sacrifice he made for us. And because of that, I've never been one to really look in the rear view mirror and kind of pine away. I was always the mom that was skipping down the hallway the first day of school when I could drop the kids off. I never really
teared up when I was dropping them off because I enjoyed the season that I was in, and I looked forward to the future. And I feel that because of the promise of heaven, the ability to enjoy the present and look ahead with anticipation to the future has also made it possible to look back with fond memories and incredible appreciation for those who helped to lay our foundations. And Florida Christian was a big part of that for me. And I swore I wasn't going to cry, but now I am. It wasn't just educational, it was social, it was spiritual. Florida Christian was my home for 6 years, from 7th grade to 12th grade, and the people here played such a big part in laying that foundation. And I hope that I can play a part in laying that foundation for other students. But now I have so many treasured memories to share, and I'm going to try to keep this short, but it was hard to pick just a few. While the bulk of the school days were spent on academics, for me, it was the love that the teachers showed and all those funny moments that you encounter when you're in high school with classmates and with teachers. We learned about history and art from Mrs. Vanderwall, and I especially enjoy remembering the time spent with her husband, who is a local pastor, and he would come to help us paint the backdrops of the different sets, and he would always make a mess. I mean, he would spill cans of brown paint all over the place. So we ended up actually nicknaming him Mr. Brown. I feel like my sister should be up here because she went through all this together with me. And I hope I'm not stealing her stories, but I'm glad I got to go first, because if she stole my stories, I would have been in trouble. I also remember vividly, I was in 8th grade, and I was scrambling to class because we got dropped off late because we were coming from swim practice, and we were always rushing to get to class. And I was wearing brand new purple penny loafers, okay? And it was the 80s, so the styles were a little bit weird. And they were really, really slippery. And I was rushing to class, and I launched off the top of the staircase, feet first. They went right out from under me. I landed halfway down the staircase on those concrete stairs outside. The gym wasn't here, overlooking the basketball court. And as I hit the ground on my back, I'm trying to pull myself up on the metal rails, completely knocked the wind out of myself. And all of a sudden, I hear from below Mr. Arnold's voice asking if I was okay. Now, I was lucky because there weren't any students around to see me do this, but I was mortified. An 8th grader, Mr. Arnold, the football coach, the math teacher, and all I could do is groan because I couldn't even breathe. So these guttural sounds are coming out of me. I was so embarrassed. And by the time I got into high school and then I started taking math classes with him, I realized he wasn't as scary as we thought he was. We got to see the softer, gentler Mr. Arnold. We would laugh in class, and he actually made pre-calculus fun, if you can believe it. And finally, I would be remiss not mentioning Coach Zeese. He was hysterical. He was our swim coach and the wrestling teacher who had the exact opposite of a swimmer's body. And he would sell candy out of the back closet of his science lab, and it was all expired, decades old. But he didn't care. He was raising money. He was always raising money for something. He was doing wrestling matches out, raising money for that, mud wrestling. I remember when he broke another teacher's arm when he fell on top of him. It was just great. Those are great times. He would do the laughing joke where he would just hysterically break out into laughter, and he wouldn't stop until the entire class is rolling on the floor. We would dissect things. And you'd have to bring up your dissection of your animal organ, and he would poke at it to see if you labeled it correctly. And he had this pen, and he would poke to see if you did it. And then he'd stick the pen in his mouth and gross us all out. Oh, it was just, I mean, these were great times, great memories. And although FCS never had a pool or a swim team, he went out of his way to volunteer because we couldn't just have our club coach or our mom or dad. By then, the FHSA was getting really regulated. You had to have a school representative. So he said, I'll do it. I'll be your coach. So he was our official, quote, swim coach so that we could compete in high school swimming. And now I get to be a swim coach, which was never really on my radar at the time, but you never know, what God has for you. And I was never going to be a teacher. I got a business degree. I was working for some private companies, and God kind of sucked me into education. And now I teach high school business classes, and I get to coach swimmers and middle school and high school, and hopefully pass on a little bit of encouragement to them. And I kind of took a playbook out of FCS because right now I'm coaching at a Christian school. It doesn't have a pool either. But we have a bunch of kids on our swim team, and we're able to make it work. So I'm so thankful, and I'm honored, and my prayer is that we get to pass along a little bit of what FCS gave us to the future and share with others what was shared with us. Thank you so much.
Okay, so kind of disappointed that my sister went first because I thought she was going to take all the good stories, but there's so many. Kind of glad she went first because she cried before me, so when I cry, it won't be as tense. So I practiced a couple of times, can't get through it without crying, so here goes. So thank you for everything. Beth, King, amazing job. This is such an honor. And Mr. Arnold, that was so sweet. Got me going with the tears already. So we appreciate you and everything that you've done, and everyone here at FCS. So thank you. This is such an honor. It's been so great to be here at FCS, like my sister said, for 6 years. But the last time we were on campus was 26 years ago for our 10-year high school reunion. But I'd like to start by thanking my husband of almost 30 years for being so supportive in all of my athletic, artistic, and family endeavors, including being my kayaking partner for all of my open water swimming adventures. We have been blessed with 3 beautiful daughters. They wanted to be here, but they're busy doing very interesting things. My oldest daughter, Summer, she's 24. She's working in New York City as a jazz trumpet player. Her trumpet playing has taken her to some amazing places, such as the Saturday Night Live Band, Broadway musicals, and at the moment, she's on a movie set. My middle daughter, Bianca, is 22, a senior majoring in fashion design at the Fashion Institute in New York City. She's presently an exchange student in England, studying knitwear at Nottingham Trent University. And my youngest daughter, Ava, is 20. She's an art major at Alfred University in upstate New York, specializing in sculpture. So she called me last week and requested a picture of me in my swimsuit cap and goggles, getting ready for the 12-and-a-half-mile open water marathon, swim around Key West, and I did quite a few years when the girls were little. She's starting a full-size sculpture of me on race day. I was super flattered, but when she told me that she had already mixed 300 pounds of clay for the project, I was like, 300 pounds? I know I'm not as skinny as I used to be, but isn't that a bit much? Most importantly, my girls are focused on serving the Lord as they develop their creative gifts. In addition to my husband and 3 daughters, I have been blessed with a very supportive family and extended family who are here. But of course, it all started with my parents. This is where I'm going to cry. My mom is here. My dad went to be with the Lord 8 years ago. And we would never be here if it weren't for them. I'm sorry. The sacrifices they made for us by paying our tuition, driving us to school, my mom waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning if we had to wake up at 4:30, taking us to swim practice before school, to school, and then again swimming practice after school, are just a few of the countless things they did for us. Now I must thank the other half of the FCS swim team, my sister. We are 1 year apart in age, but because we're in the same class and inseparable, we were always mistaken for twins and consistently asked, why are you in the same grade if you aren't twins? So here's the story. When it was time for Ginger to go to kindergarten, she wouldn't go without me. So my parents, who owned a daycare center and small school at the time, coaxed me to go on the first day. This happened again the second day, and so forth and so on, and we were together every day for the next 13 years. We took all of the same classes, even graduated as co-valedictorians, and we got along very well. She tolerated me doing things like laughing at her and my school pictures literally all day, the day they were passed out. She was also super accommodating to my wacky requests, like when I, not being very fond of reading, a very slow reader compared to her, I would say, Ginger, as long as you have to read that book for class, you can just read it out loud, right? So, and she did, and she became my personal audiobook library. As far as the swim team, it was just Ginger and me. After having dedicated so much of our life to swimming, being on a year-round team starting at age 7 and 8, we craved the opportunity to represent FCS at district and state meets. So my parents did a meeting with Mr. Andrews. The FCS swim team was approved. Now I know Coach Zeese was involved with coaching, but my dad was also designated as a coach to go to certain meetings and do paperwork. And although he was not a coach at all, he did enjoy the title. And every once in a while, do you remember this? He would say, as your coach, I think you should, we would be like, what? And laugh at him. He did like the title. Besides swimming, I have so many other fond memories of FCS. Some of the funniest include Coach Zeese, his Cheap Charlie's wrestling supply business, his ugly cheer and ugly meter at pep rallies. We'd do this in front of kids' faces. I'm sure you'd be fired today. And the candy sale during science class that he would store in the back of his classroom, along with the frogs, sheep eyes, and worms awaiting dissection. Surprisingly, this storage location did not deter his sales, since the rule was that his candy was the only thing you could eat in class. Another funny memory was in our 7th grade English class. Our teacher was named Mrs. Class. She was helping one of our many Cuban classmates with his vocabulary list. His definition for brawny read, a small brown cake. It confused all of us, but Miss Class understood and lovingly replied, no, Carlos, I think you're thinking of a brownie. And Mr. Doan's theological chapel messages, and maybe it was just me, but regardless of the scripture passage, his message somehow always involved the children of Israel. Don't know how he did it. And Mrs. Santmeyer's old school typing class, a feet on your floor, sit up straight class, very disciplined, but she had a sense of humor. After coming in every day complaining about how challenging and stressful that class was for me, she ended up giving me the typing award at the end of the year. I remember trying to focus during Miss Vanderwall's history class as I dreamed of being in her art class at the end of the day. I'm gonna cry. And Coach Arnold, he greeted us in math class, anxious to discuss our swim meet before moving on to trigonometry. And if we were lucky, we could just talk about sports the whole time. A couple times it worked. One particular day stands out. It was the Monday morning. He had the newspaper in his hand with the results of the state swim meet, where I had placed second by 0.6 of a second in the 200. In the midst of my disappointment, knowing that I had come so close to the title of state champ, and now that I know that there's a banner, I'm really bummed out. Could there be like state runner-up or something? Knowing I had come up a little short, he congratulated me, said he was very proud of me, which is exactly what I needed to hear. Then there was the absolute sweetest ladies in the front office, Mrs. Andrews, Mrs. Van, Mrs. King, and Mrs. Perez, always smiling and ready to help. These are just a few of the many stories that will forever live on in our family memories. FCS gave us the biblical and academic foundation that we needed to strive in college, postgraduate studies, and in life. The wonderful teachers that I had inspired me to also become a teacher and continue teaching the good news of Jesus Christ, both in public and private schools. As I was looking through the 6 FCS yearbooks on my shelf, in addition to the funny hairdos and outfits, I was shocked to see how small it was and how few teachers there were. Most of them teaching 2, 3, even 4 subjects as well as coaching. I always thought our school was big enough to fill our world with loving teachers, wonderful memories, and life lessons. So I would like to do one final thank you to all the teachers, coaches, and staff that gave so much of themselves to us and so many others. We love you. Thank you.
All right, our next inductee for baseball from the class of 2005, put your hands together for Danny Lima. Presenting Danny today is his former coach, Ernie Padron.
Halloween tall peoples it's a mess. Good evening. I'm excited to be here and share this special moment with you all. Tonight, we honor many of FCS greats as they're here to receive this well-deserved distinction, and they are to be congratulated and applauded once again. The Florida Christian baseball program has had an outstanding tradition of not just winning but producing great men. Many of these baseball athletes have walked through these halls, have become great husbands, fathers, employees, leaders, and examples. The foundational truths they learn in this building are to be given much of that credit. I thought I wasn't going to be nervous, but I'm a little bit nervous, Danny. This is your fault. I'm sorry. Your dad decided to take a trip to Maine with your mom, and I got to step in here, okay? Tonight, I have the privilege of introducing one of these former Patriots receiving the honor of Hall of Famer. He's the 3rd baseball athlete from my tenure as a coach to receive this coveted Navy blue jacket. For most of his career, he hit first in the lineup and spearheaded an offense that won not one, but 2 state championships. He was part of a program that made 6 consecutive trips to the state finals. I don't even know why I'm getting emotional, but this is a lot of memories coming through right now. From 2001 to 2006, his senior year in 2005, this team posted a 29-2 record and finished number 3 in the National High School polls. Since he came up on the varsity as a sophomore, he solidified that shortstop position, and I think, Tom, he would have given you a run for your money. Offensively, he had a knack to get on base, stealing bags, and aggressive base running. He was always on display. He was a quiet leader. And his approach to the game had a blue-collar style that was eminent, whether at practice or in the games. He had great examples at home that drove him to exceed expectations in the classroom or on the diamond. His mom, Angie, an educator, did not give him a minute to breathe when it came to his grades. His dad, Bill, who also was the driving force of success behind this program as an assistant, was always on him to do the things perfectly. His brother, Brian, Beth, if you're listening to me, whom I feel should be in this Hall of Fame as well, was a clutch and had a clutch player and consistent for heroics on the diamond. And he set that example for Danny on what it took to be great. They say it takes a village, but this young man had a nation raising him and helping him succeed. Danny Lima is the personification of what it is to be a Florida Christian patriot. I can go on and on about his baseball accolades, on how he went on to the University of Tennessee on a baseball scholarship, on how he was all county twice, all state twice, and made the All-American team as well. But the one thing that really is important to me is how great of a teammate and how I never had to correct him on or off the field. Stats and athletic accolades fade, but what truly stays with us is who we are as a person. This young man excelled on the field and is now excelling in life as a lieutenant in the Sunrise Fire Department. Abraham Lincoln once said, "I'm not bound to win, I am bound to be true. I'm not bound to succeed, but I'm bound to live up to the light that I have." Danny is living up to that light and casting upon others that he comes across. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the next Hall of Fame honoree, Danny Lima, from the class of 2005.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. That was very nice. I don't know if all that's true, but those are very kind words. So thank you. Let me raise this a little bit. It's an honor to be here. Thank you all for being here today. You know, about 20 minutes ago, I was in sheer panic. I didn't realize that I had to give a speech. So I thought I could come, wave from afar, smile, take some pictures, get this nice coat, and then be on my way. So 20 minutes ago, I pulled out my phone, ChatGPT, AI gave me a great speech that I'm going to read to you tonight. It's going to be better than I can do. No, I'm only kidding. I had a lot of special memories here. Florida Christian did a lot for me as a young man and as a baseball player. I had a lot of great people around me. Not a bad experience that I had here. Everyone that I came across helped me in so many ways. And I'm super appreciative of everybody. There's a lot of individuals that I can name, too many. So if I don't say your name, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna speak in groups, like thanking people. Don't be offended. I wanna thank everyone from the administrative staff, to my teachers, to my former classmates, to my teammates, to even the parents of my teammates. Everyone that I came across had a major impact on my life. Like I said, I didn't have one bad experience here, and it's hard to say. That's rare to be here for 4 years and not have a bad experience. It's not common. But those teams that we had, the 4 years that I was here, were very competitive. We were always winning. The first 2 years, we made it to states, I believe. My memory is pretty going, but all 4 years we made it to states. The last 2 years being the ones that we won state championships, and from what I believe, the only 2 state championships in school history. That says a lot about how difficult it is to do that. But those teams were great because of great leadership. The coaching staff, the man that introduced me, Coach Abel Alonso was on the staff. I see him out there. Great coach, great mentor, always there for us. And then probably the best coach that I've ever had, Coach mentioned it, but it's personal because it was my dad. My dad was here before I was here. He was here through the years that I was here, and then he was here after. And there's not a better coach that you can have than your father. He knows how to push you to limits and cares for you more than anyone. So I'm really grateful for my dad. Like Coach said, he's traveling right now, so he's not here. Retired life. I'll get there one day. And then I can't go out saying Coach Padron, our biggest leader. You know, I've learned in the fire service and through life that there are, what I believe, 2 types of leaders. They're born leaders, and that's pretty self-explanatory. You're born with it, you know. You wake up ready to lead, and people want to follow you. And then there's self-made leaders. I think, on my end, I'm more of a self-made leader. You know, it took time, experience, learning to kind of get to a point where I could lead. And I'm not even the greatest leader, but that's me. Coach Padron, born leader from day one. When he stepped on the field, when he stepped in the classroom, stepped in front of a group of individuals, we wanted to follow him. We wanted to win for ourselves, but we wanted to win for him as well. And all the good teams become great with great leaders. And I think that Coach Padron should be up here and the rest of my teammates, because it's not about me. Baseball is a team sport. And I believe that if you take away one player, no matter if they played 1 inning or they played all season, any player or any coach from those championship teams, we don't have the same result. So the fact that I'm up here and the rest of my teammates aren't, it's kind of odd, but I really appreciate being here. Lastly, I would like to thank my wife and kids. They're here today. They really don't know much about my baseball career because obviously I met my wife after baseball and my kids were born after. My wife kind of gets annoyed because when we first started dating, everyone would tell her how great of a baseball player I was. And you know, at first you're dating and you say, oh yeah, that's cool. But then as we got more serious, she would roll her eyes because she would see me in the corner, you know, boasting and being all excited about people talking about me. So she's probably rolling her eyes right now in the audience, but you know, I know she's super proud. And my kids are here, Dylan and Logan, embarrassed as can be to see me up here, but so thank you all again for being here. God bless, and you know, I'll leave you with this. At the end of the ceremony, I'm going to be in that corner over there signing autographs for 6 to 7 minutes. So, thank you.
Our next inductee comes from the sport of volleyball in the class of 2003. Put your hands together for Carla Ortiz. Presenting Carla this evening are her parents. Welcome to the stage, Carlos and Zoraida Ortiz.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, members of the Florida Christian High School Athletic Hall of Fame Committee, coaches, fellow athletes, family, friends. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate this remarkable occasion. As Carla Ortiz parents, we couldn't be more thrilled or humbled to be before you and introduce our incredible daughter as she is inducted into the Hall of Fame for her outstanding contribution to volleyball at Florida Christian School. From the moment Carla stepped onto the court in the 8th grade at Florida Christian School, we all knew something special was unfolding. She poured her heart into volleyball, playing with unyielding passion and determination all the way through her senior year, where she proudly captained the team. And that dedication ultimately earned her a full-ride scholarship to Nova Southeastern University. I never forget the time when Carla was competing on a travel volleyball team. Carla scored the winning point, and soon after, the head coach of FIU at the time, Cookie Stevens, and the head coach at Nova Southeastern, at the time, both approached us with competing scholarship offers. Your mother and I cherished the moment. That moment that we heard the news. Ultimately, she ended up going to Nova Southeastern University, where she was a 4-year starter, captain of the team 3 out of the 4 years, most valuable player 3 out of the 4 years, and breaking numerous records which she still holds. Her athletic journey here wasn't limited to just one sport. She was a multi-sport athlete, playing softball, as a talented pitcher, first baseman, as well as basketball player. Whether it was playing volleyball, softball, or basketball, she embodied the spirit of a true patriot. Disciplined, team-oriented, always grounded in the values of faith, perseverance, humility that the school teaches. Watching her grow through these experiences has been one of my greatest joys of our lives. She's not just an athlete, she's a leader, a friend, and a beacon of inspiration to many. Carla, your dedication has touched us all. And tonight, we honor the legacy you've built here at Florida Christian School. Please join my amazing wife and I congratulating my daughter, Carla Ortiz, class of 2003. Thank you for the wonderful memories, and we love you dearly.
Thank you to my parents. Thank you to the Florida Christian faculty, Hall of Fame administration, and all the coaches and athletes here tonight. What an honor it is to be back at Florida Christian after 22 years for such a beautiful night. Walking through this campus, I was flooded with flashbacks of unforgettable memories, from the energy of Spirit Week, to the daily grind to make it to class in time, to summer workouts. These hallways hold core memories I'll cherish forever. One of the biggest blessings for me were the friendships I gained right here in this school that I'm lucky and blessed to call my best friends. As I get older, I realize how rare it is to have friendships like these women. They've always been my biggest cheerleaders at all my games and even here tonight. Florida Christian is the reason why our paths crossed, and I'm so grateful for that. I love you guys, and thanks for always being there. Sports has always been a big part of my life. From the time I was a little girl, I always wanted to be playing sports. First with softball when I played travel ball from the age of 10 until my sophomore year of high school where I was a pitcher and I played first base, earning numerous awards and recognitions and even capturing the attention of Division I schools as early as freshman year in high school. Then came basketball. Keeping my promise to Coach Witt, who had begged me to join the team since I joined FCS, I finally gave in my senior year. Being the tallest girl on the team meant I always had to guard the biggest opponent. I laugh now thinking about those games because I'd negotiate with Coach Witt mid-game. If I score 6 more points, can I sit out? She'd agree and I'd hustle and score just to get off the court. And then when I thought the season was over, I made the All-Star team and had to play one more game defending the biggest and the best in Miami-Dade. I felt like I had no idea what I was doing, but at least it kept me in shape for volleyball. One of the biggest and profound lessons I learned through sports is that when you think you have it all figured out, God has a bigger and better plan. From the time I was a little girl, I always dreamt of being a Division I softball pitcher, and I always thought I would live out of state. That changed during a game here at FCS at the peak of my sophomore year when I broke my pitching hand. I required immediate surgery and had 6 pins inserted. I was heartbroken, convinced the chance of playing college sports was impossible. After months of physical therapy to regain strength in my pitching hand and had some difficult conversations, I decided from that point forward to put all my focus and energy towards volleyball. That led to my full transition to volleyball, which became my true passion. Within a year of training with the best volleyball coaches in Miami, my senior year I accepted a full athletic scholarship to Nova Southeastern. That was and still is one of the biggest blessings in my life. I was able to play the sport that I grew to love and was blessed to have my parents close enough that they were able to attend every single volleyball game all 4 years. God's plan was greater than mine, a lesson I carry with me every day since. All the sports I played, all the practices, all the private lessons, trainings, camps, wins and losses, shaped me into the person that I am today. They taught me to be competitive and disciplined, how to be a team player, how to celebrate victories, but most importantly, how to pick myself up after defeats. But all of this wouldn't have been possible without the encouragement and support of my family. My family means the world to me. My parents, my sisters, Jennifer and Sharon, have always been my biggest supporters and loudest cheerleaders, my #1 fans. And without them, I wouldn't have had the success I've had not only in sports, but in life. Thank you for always being there for me no matter what. This recognition is just as much yours as it is mine. Thank you for all the sacrifices you all have made, all the guidance you've given me, all the pep talks, and all the support you've always provided me, all of which contributed to my success in sports. I love you, and thank you for everything. To my boyfriend Pavel and the rest of my family and friends here tonight, I truly appreciate you all for coming and supporting me. It means so much to me that you're here. Thank you.
Our next inductee is from the sport of football in the class of 1999. Put your hands together for Danny Vega. Presenting Danny is his father. Welcome to the stage, Ray Vega.
Not at all. I'm biased, of course, but there was no hot dogging with my son. He had to do his job, do it well, and the comments, you feed your ego with the respect from the other players and your coaches. Good evening. Number one, glory be to God. It feels like coming home, really. Florida Christian, it just wasn't as cool for us. It was our second home. I had the privilege of coach here, and I was a cheer dad when my daughter was on the sideline, and the campus just holds like treasure moments for so many years. We, before we got here, school was like a burden. When we got here, they didn't want to leave. We picked them up and, no, Dad, but it's early. No, come on, gotta go, man. So, you know, this is what happens in Florida Christian. The management and Mr. Andrews and, of course, the great Mr. Arnold and everybody here just dedicates themselves to helping and raising your children with the Word of God. So Danny was, since he was 9 years old, he went one time to play baseball, and he stood out because he was very fast. So he stood in the outfield, center field, you know, waiting for the ball. He said, Dad, I can't stand there. I said, okay, let's try football. And that was the end of that. He wanted to be hit. And he could take a hit. And he could hit hard too. So anyways, he played all his years here as a senior. He was All County, of course, with 1,835 yards and 15 touchdowns. And then he went into play for the Preschool, who was kind of a growing ground
the 13th year of a prep school in Hightstown, New Jersey, one of the top prep schools in the nation since 1864. And of course, he excelled the same thing there because he outworks everybody. He just outworks everybody. Before I forget, I want to say thank you to Coach Rivera, who's not here, and Coach Tandrino, who started the weight system here, and they're just a big part of the football world at Florida Christian. We're very, very proud of the accomplishment of our son, and we see his potential and the impact that this school has had on my son. He's a great man, great Christian man. And I just, we're very proud of him. He's, again, continues to outwork everybody because the foundation was started right here in our house and in this school because of the Word of God. So tonight is a celebration of hard work and faith and legacy. And you made us proud. And our family, you made us proud, and you have made this school proud. He has represented this school very well. And he's honored God through all his hard work. So I just want you to let me present to you the 2025 Football Hall of Fame and my son, Danny Vega.
I just want to say I'm so proud of my dad because I don't think he cried, and I was waiting for him to cry. Also, Danny Lima talking about, people not knowing they had to give a speech. Who would be crazy enough to do that? So yeah, that's me. But I just want to take you guys back to 1995 because that summer I had been forcibly removed from a public school, and my dad came in. Of course, I was in my room, locked in my room, and he threw down like 3 or 4 different pamphlets for Christian schools. We were young in the Lord, my father and my mother, but my father especially, in the true Vega fashion. Every time we found something new, we went head first. So we were little baby Christians, and oh my gosh, I'm sorry, some of my best friends right there, I didn't even see them for the first time. So, but my story wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for my parents, first of all. The foundation that they laid down has truly been just such a strong anchor for me, and that continued with, of course, their decision. Well, I picked Florida Christian because it looked like it had the easiest rules. It looked like the most lenient, or like they were kind of cool. And I came around, I came in here rough around the edges. I was telling Mr. Arnold I've come a long way because, probably like 2 or 3 months into my 8th grade year, I was already on strike 2. And thank God, God worked through this school. Similar to how my mom used reverse psychology on me to go to the library. She would say, be good or you're not going to go to the library. So I was like, I guess going to the library is a good thing. And I loved it, and that's how I read. It was the same thing here. It was like, if you're not good, you don't get to go to the wilds. and that's a Christian retreat. It's like, I guess that's where we want to go. And and we just, yeah, the memories, so many. I mean, Mr. Zeese, I don't know if you guys remember Buck Buck, playing Buck Buck. It was that thing when we would jump over each other, like. But we had so many good memories, and you know, I want to be the same father for my two sons that my parents have been to me. I'm not doing as well because right now, as opposed to my dad going to every single one of my games and taking me to all the camps and doing the same thing for my sister, which is kind of crazy to hear a football coach screaming at cheerleaders. I took my oldest away from a drumline event that he was supposed to have, but he wanted to come here. So, but yeah, the foundation that they've laid continues to this day. It's amazing to see so many people back. It's amazing to see there's something special if people keep coming back, and some people don't ever leave. So, you know, for better or worse, all the things that we have said, you know, we've had such a good foundation. This was a fertile ground for me to pursue what I loved the most, which was to play college football, and had the, you know, was blessed to do that at Columbia University. And, you know, hopefully Beth King could do what Mr. Riggin did for me for somebody, which was to open the gym for me and Grubbs and a few other people to go work out like at 6 in the morning before school even started. And it was just, those were the things that I remember. And of course, like I said, you know, having that confidence in my faith to be, you know, still praying before my meals at college when I was in the belly of the beast at Columbia University. And, you know, I just want to finish with, you know, my life verse, because just like, you know, I've turned it around, my dad has shown me, and my mom and dad have shown me so many times in their lives where they've had rough times. It's, this race never ends until the very last minute. You've never done enough. And, you know, James 1:12, blessed is the man who does endure trial, for when he has been proved, he shall receive the crown of life, which the master has promised to those who love him. And that's the race that I'm on now still. I still want to look good and be strong and be the best at whatever I do, because I'm always the best, as you guys know, as Grubbs knows. But yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone here. Thank Beth King especially for getting in touch with me, which is a feat in and of itself. And I just want to thank all the teachers, all the coaches, my parents, of course, for what you guys have done for me. And I hope to continue that legacy with my sons. Thank you.
Our next inductee, we're staying with the sport of football from the class of 1972, is Don Woolen. Presenting Don is Hall of Famer Tom Fowler from the class of 1977. Tom, welcome back to the microphone.
You get to a certain age and you write things down, you never look at it, and you don't know what you're saying. So just forgive me. I did forget one thing about Scott. Scott was the only person, I think up until that time, who was all county first team with the 4A schools. He was the only one. As a matter of fact, the second teamer, discus, was only, 18 feet behind him. So that's pretty impressive that he was able to do that. Don Woolen is another one of those original. Before I do this, Jim, you and Robert, you guys, the credit you guys deserve for what you turned this place into is phenomenal. It's one thing to start something, but how many businesses, schools, whatever start and in there you don't hear from them in 10, 20 years? Man, these guys took like this little seedling, like the scripture says, and they didn't just it was planted by other people, but they watered it and they did whatever else scripture says. I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But I want to tell you, as an old guy myself, thank you. You guys did great. Thank you. And I am old. I don't even remember what I'm supposed to say here. Don Woolen was in the first ninth grade class. He was here as a ninth grader when this school started. There were 27 boys in this school, grades 9 through 12. 27. 9 of them were freshmen. So how good could they have been? But they went 7-3 in football. They went 19-6 in basketball. The second year, they were 7-3 in football. They were 26-1 in basketball. My father had that privilege of going 26-0. You know what else he had the privilege of? I played on his 0-27 team. We were terrible. And that's another thing, Jim. You didn't coach at the early years. You didn't really have the talent that these people are. I mean, wait, you could have said that's not true. I mean, whatever. I was part of that. Anyway, Don was 6'4", 220 pounds, and he was a running back, and he ran a 4.7 40. I don't know if you've ever tried to stop somebody who's 6'4", 220 pounds, who runs that fast. Not many people did. He was, matter of fact, I have a quote here from a University of Miami coach that went and watched him play, and he said, Don Woolen really likes to hit. I mean, what coach says that in the newspaper? And he did like to hit. He wore these where's Octavio? He's over here somewhere. See those glasses Octavio has on? Well, his is stylish, but Don's were those old black rim things. He wore those. I said to my father one time, I said, Dad, can I get some glasses like Don wears? He said, he didn't bat an eye. He said, yeah, as soon as you start hitting like him. I went, oh, I guess I'm never getting those things, am I? So he could flat play. He was all county first team. He was all conference back when, I don't think they have that conference anymore, but all conference first team. He was all region first team. He was just a great football player. Mike Corbett from Dade Christian, he was the head coach. He said, you know, we had to deal with Gary Moose, we had to deal with Dan Diaz. Now we got to deal with Don Woolen. Only he's bigger and seems to be faster than Moose was. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but, and Gary went to Auburn to play football. Anyway, Don also played basketball, as did Scott. Played basketball and was, I don't know if you guys saw what he put in here, but he was a freshman. He was telling me the other day, he goes, it was so great. I scored 3 points in a game when I was a freshman. That's good, you know, he scored 3 points. Anyway, when he was done, he went to Florida Bible College. And a lot of kids from the school here at that time went to Florida Bible College because a lot of the teachers and Dr. Miller and all that, they had ties at Florida Bible College. But he went to Florida Bible College and he played basketball. Then he transferred to Miami Christian College and he played basketball. He dated in high school one of the cheerleaders. Her name was Gina Gathings. They married in 2022. And I'm just thinking somebody must have had commitment problems or something, or that's a long time. That's 50 years. But they didn't date that whole time. They had other things happen. But he married Gina. They live in Michigan, and he deserves to be in this hall. He was like Scott. He was a gentle giant. One of his hobbies, he's a sculptor and a painter. A sculptor and a painter. And if you talk to him, he's very quiet when he talks. You know, I don't think he ever talked to me when he was in high school. But then again, I was only in 7th grade, like Scott. Those guys didn't really want to talk to the young guys. But he is a gentle giant. He worked when he got out of college. He worked with churches starting their counseling ministries. He did that for I don't know how many years, and then he went on and became CEO and president of a couple companies. And he retired recently, I think in 2019. But Don Woolen, football class of 1971, right? Yeah, got it. 32?
Unfortunately, Don could not join us today. However, he sent the following sentiment. Take a look at the screens.
It's a great honor to be nominated for induction into the Florida Christian Athletic Hall of Fame. Certainly an honor that I never expected. And since being nominated, I've taken some time to look at the Florida Christian website, and I am truly amazed, astounded, actually, at the amount of progress that the school has made since its inception in 1968. I was a member of that first freshman class, which consisted of 4, maybe 5 students at the beginning of the year, and not many more at the end of the year. Overcrowding was not something that we had a concern about. At that time, we had no gymnasium, we had no football field, no locker rooms, no science lab, no computers, no lunchroom, not really much of anything in terms of material goods. As a matter of fact, we didn't even have a desk for the first couple of weeks. We just sat on the floor. But we did have 2 things. We had tremendous teachers who were committed to the Lord and committed to providing their students with the best education possible, which they consistently did and for which I am eternally grateful. As a matter of fact, I still have some of my high school textbooks in my library. And another thing we had were great looking uniforms. We had some of the best uniforms, if not the best uniforms in the city, if not the state. Win or lose, we looked good. There are several people I need to thank for making this possible. Tom Fowler for tracking me down, which is no small task, and nominating me for this honor. Also, Beth King for putting this all together and for gently encouraging me to make this video. Again, no small accomplishment on her part. I also want to thank my parents who made many sacrifices to allow me to attend Florida Christian. Although this is an individual award, it doesn't represent an individual achievement. There are many people who went into making this possible. Any success that I enjoyed on the football field or the basketball court is in no small part a result of their efforts. Obviously, my teammates, some of whom have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame and others who I'm sure will be. The friends and supporters of the athletic program whose selfless donations in time and money provided us with those good-looking uniforms. An enthusiastic student body that supported our athletic efforts, win or lose. The dedicated cheerleaders, one of whom, 50 years later, I married. Better late than never. And of course the coaches, especially Coach Lenton Fowler. His ability to produce winning seasons year after year, given the limited resources that he had to work with, is truly amazing. In those first years, we didn't have enough personnel to conduct full team scrimmages in football. We couldn't go 5-on-5 in basketball because we just didn't have the people. And in spite of this, as I said, he managed to produce winning seasons year after year. And it was a privilege to play for him. Again, thank you for this honor. I'm proud to have been and still remain a Florida Christian patriot. I pray that the Lord will continue to bless you, the teachers, the students, and the supporters. Thank you.
For our coaches' inductions, part of a coach's legacy is the lasting impact they leave on the student athletes, as we heard from time to time tonight, and the way they help train up the next generation of coaches. The success of current coaches is built on the foundation of those who come before them. To be eligible for the Hall of Fame, a coach must be retired from Florida Christian for at least 3 years, have faithfully served in their role, and most importantly, have made a significant contribution to FCS athletics. Beyond wins and championships, these coaches are honored for their exemplary Christian leadership, their mentorship of student athletes, and the way they lived out their faith on a daily basis. Dr. Robert Andrews started his coaching career at FCS in 1974. here to present Coach Andrews as my friend, my Miami Heat colleague, my mentor in all things in life, Hall of Famer from the class of 1979. We call him Coach O at work, Octavio de la Grana.
Thank you. First of all, we've honored all these great athletes. And by the way, I said that last time, and you guys are like first ballots. I mean, that's a tremendous honor that you guys, and all well-deserved. And I always think that, all your stories that you guys brought to us tonight, it means a lot. So I remember some of you, and I think great tribute to Florida Christian. Now we go with a different mark, because as a coach, when you have leaders like Jim Arnold, Lynn Fowler, Robert Andrews, the gentleman I'm about to introduce, it's quite an honor, because here, these guys wear so many hats at Florida Christian. I mean, you drove the bus, you fix the bus, you coach, you teach, you mentor, you tape ankles. Your coaches used to tape our ankles. I mean, we don't have training staff. Come on, man. We tape ankles. No pre-wrap either, so they just taped your ankle and you're ready to go. But this gentleman, he's Dr. Robert Andrews, but not for tonight. We're going to call him Coach. So he came, Dr. Robert Andrews, Coach Andrews' journey with Christian education began when he gave his life to Christ as a high school junior in Tampa, Florida. A year later, he came to Florida Christian to play against Woolen and Moose and these guys and Scott. I mean, these are like playing the Dolphins. So Robert, a year later, he came and he faced FCS on the football team. Well, his team lost. He actually did all right because he found something greater. He met his wife, Katie, a cheerleader at FCS, who would become his wife and partner in this ministry for the next 47 years. That's not a bad trip, and still going strong today. In 1974, Lynn Fowler, best recruiter in America. He calls Robert. He wants him to join, come down to Florida Christian, and he accepted. And like everything else, we, us coaches like to recruit other coaches. So following year, I think he brought you, Coach Arnold, or Charlie Z. So he brought two of these guys from Tampa, and they just decided to hang around for 45 and 40 more years. I mean, talk about 40 years. Imagine driving a car for 40 years. By the way, you guys are not cars. You guys are, just sports cars. But when he arrived at FCS, there was 3 buildings. And by the time he retired in 2021, there's been 3,500 seniors graduate under his leadership. He even wrote the words of the new alma mater that still echoes today around campus. Robert believed in athletics was more than just wins and losses. And let me tell you something right now. He was a great educator and a great head of school. He was an excellent athlete. I mean, a real good athlete. We had this madness. We used to play up to 100 by ones out there in the court right here where this is at. And I'll never forget, how wives, when you guys are playing, 2 guys are playing basketball, nobody wants to go. 50 was halftime. And then I remember Katie would be off to the side like waiting, when are we going home? I had 1 car. So I say, Coach, I'll take you home. So we would stay and play. And those are things I remember about him, but don't get me wrong, he was just competitive. He coached everything. Let's go down the list. I didn't write these down. Head football coach, assistant basketball coach, head track coach, also assistant baseball, athletic director. He taught everything under the sun. Then he became the head of school. And so he basically wrote, everything that when we as young coages, we go, Coach, my team's not, what do we do? We always had somebody we can bounce things off. But I want to remember this about him as well. Under his leadership, remember Tom was explaining there was 100 students, 8 teachers when he first opened. Don said he sat on the floor. Imagine, and then, but under Andrews, Robert Andrews' leadership, Coach Andrews, this gym was built. We started collecting for this gym when I was a junior in high school. I remember we used to give our lunch money. They used to pass the plate. This guy I was a genius, right? I used to get my $3 for lunch. I think in the gym was going to happen on weekends. Hey, we put money to the gym. I never saw the gym for 20-some years till February 3rd, 1997. So 21 years later, but we thought, hey, it's like Amazon. Hey, build a gym. Amazon Prime, bring us a gym. But here it is. Here it is, and it's been a phenomenal addition. Also, the campus expanded with the athletic fields. We put lights on the field. We got the outdoor property. This is all under Coach Andrews' leadership. And as today, I always like to say that he walked the walk. You know, one thing that everybody did around here started with Lynn Fowler. If there was a piece of paper on the floor, they'd pick it up. I remember following him and seeing that. Pick up the piece of paper. And so you know what I did? I think I did it yesterday when I was here 2 days ago. I saw a piece of paper, I picked it up. And these are things that go unnoticed, and obviously a competitive guy, a competitive coach, heart of gold. And to be around a man like him, I think speaks volumes. I know that they have the administration building when, named after him, and rightly so. But he was just more than a headmaster, more than a teacher, more than a coach. He was a man of God, and he taught us everything on a daily basis. Always had a smile on his face. Listen, 47 years, you punch the clock, 47 years with kids every day. And then, Katie by his side for 47 years. Coach, you were 45. Coach like an old lawnmower too. We started him up every day, and he went to work. That's why we learned. We learned from these guys. So, hey, by the way, it's going to be funny because you got to do this. We had the we. When Coach Arnold and Coach Andrews used to tell us to do something, we just did it. We just did it. By the way, you got to teach science. I got you. Science? I think Danny Vega, were you in that class with me? I owe you because it's science, and I don't think I can spell it. But you know what? We sold it. We got up there. He goes, they open chapter 6. What page is that? Chapter 6, dude. Let's go. Chapter 6. And I think one of you, you're graveling told us that get you off subject. I was the best. You get me off subject on Thursday night. Hey, there was 2 guys playing 2-on-2 outside basketball in the rain. Man, who was that? Were they pretty good? So here the class period just goes by a little bit quicker. And I do apologize to those kids that I had in class that actually wanted to be scientists. But listen, true to the fabric of Florida Christian, whether Robert Andrews, we're Jim Arnold, Lynn Fowler, the leaders of our school. We're adding 4 coaches. We got 4 coaches in that wall. Lynn Fowler, Robert Andrews, we're adding Coach Arnold and Charlie Zeese. Those 4 guys came together. They're tied into this. And at the end of the day, I know that, what Tom was mentioning, we had one building. Now people come to Florida Christian, and I'm telling you, Beth and the athletic department and the people that can see that wall, it's taken a lot of pride. It wasn't just, hey, listen, let's put that thing up, but it's come with a lot of input, and especially these guys in the center. You guys don't know how good these guys work, and I don't mean to insult your intelligence. To be a 6'4", 230-pound running back in today's market, and then making all county when Florida Christian, by the way, we've all said it, and I hate to say it again, where was Florida Christian in the 60s? It's that school, when you go by Southwest High School, just go straight and look to the left before you get to Bird Road. They didn't know it was a school here until they saw some of these guys play. And I think, like Robert said, I even had to coach the girls with him one year. But he never said no to anybody. He great leader, great man. It's my great honor at this and pride I call myself a member for life of the Florida Christian basketball family. And we introduce Coach Robert Andrews. Welcome to the Hall of Fame.
Coach O, thank you very much. Unfortunately, Dr. Andrews could not be with us today, but he sent along the following message.
When I arrived at FCS as Coach Andrews, I coached football, basketball, and track. After I moved into the administration, I tried to continue coaching, but it didn't work out. In the early years, FCS had no athletic facilities, so every day we had to travel to a public park to practice. I still remember people walking their dogs through our football practices. And because we had no gym, most of our practices were on the outside basketball courts. It was a great day when we purchased the land where the football field now is located. And for basketball, we played games at Southwest Boys Club. And after a few years, FCS experienced improving our facilities, which included a gymnasium. Today, the athletic facilities at FCS are second to none, and I'm proud to have been part of the development of the FCS athletics. I will always be an FCS Patriot. Thank you for the honor of being considered for the FCS Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Our final inductee, put your hands together for Jim Arnold. Coach Arnold started coaching at FCS in 1976. To present Coach Arnold is his former student athlete, his co-worker, and class of 1993 graduate, Mr. David King.
Boy. The privilege of introducing another legend, so bear with me. Jim Arnold arrived on the campus of Florida Christian School in the summer of 1976. He moved to Miami after teaching at Temple Heights Christian School for 4 years prior, and he came to FCS 2 years after Dr. Andrews and 1 year after Hall of Fame coach Charlie Zeese, both of whom he had worked with at Temple Heights. Now, I don't know if he realized the impact that this decision would have on his life, but I know FCS did not realize the impact he would have on our school. Coach Arnold started out teaching high school Bible and math and coached all 3 seasons as a varsity football assistant coach and the head coach for the junior high basketball and junior high baseball programs. For all you Gen Zers out there, junior high is what we called 7th through 9th grade before middle school was a thing. In 1982, he assumed the roles of head varsity football coach, head varsity baseball coach, and athletic director, all while still teaching classes. He served in those roles throughout the 80s, and when he got bored, he would add a stint as head varsity softball coach or teaching senior English. Of course, these were the official titles he held, but we all know that in Christian ministry, as was mentioned, one wears many hats. And so Coach Arnold also served in other prestigious capacities, such as the turf management specialist. He mowed the field. He was the athletic graphic design technician. He painted the field. The irrigation systems engineer repaired those sprinklers. And the fleet transportation specialist. He drove the bus. If there was a job to do to ensure that our athletic programs would function at their highest capacity, he stepped up to fill that role. In the summertime, when there were no sports seasons or classes, he joined Dr. Andrews for summer maintenance and in what was affectionately known as A&A construction. Coach Arnold was building sports programs while literally building our facilities. In 1988, he transitioned to the junior senior high academic dean, all while continuing to teach classes, serve as the head varsity coach for both football and baseball, and finishing his last year as athletic director. In 1993, he was promoted to the junior senior high principal and hung up his whistle as head varsity football coach, having had the opportunity to coach 2 of our current Hall of Fame members. In 1997, he hung up his ball cap, retiring as head varsity baseball coach, having coached a couple more Hall of Famers and culminating a 21-year coaching career that included several district and conference championships. After retiring from coaching, he continued to lead our high school for another 23 years, for a total of 44 years of faithful service. And as was his nature to avoid any fanfare, he snuck out into retirement under the cover of a global pandemic where we weren't permitted to gather like this to celebrate. But sir, we got you here today, and we will give honor where honor is due. To say that Coach Arnold had an impact on Patriot athletics is a gross understatement. He was the epitome of Patriot athletics for over 2 decades. More than just winning championships, his aim was to build champions, people of integrity who understood the value of hard work and perseverance. And he didn't just preach commitment from the sidelines, he modeled it every day, arriving on campus before the sun and often staying until long after it set to ensure no task went unnoticed or unfinished. Many former players credit their current success to principles that were taught and caught from Coach Arnold. Beyond his knowledge of the game or the core values he instilled, he invested in the spiritual lives of everyone around him. He lived a life of integrity and walked out his faith in a way that embodies our current school theme of loving God and loving others. Coach Arnold didn't just build sports programs, he built a legacy of shaping lives through discipline, dedication, and discipleship. And now, depending on the decade that you played for Coach Arnold, you may have experienced a different demeanor, and we heard some of that. I'm sure you have your stories as well. I'll just share two that were etched into my head. In my early years, he was a no-nonsense motivator who demanded response and commanded respect. I can remember sitting in his freshman geometry class when a call came in over the intercom asking a multiple-choice question. Sir, would you prefer A, yada yada, B, yada yada, or C? And before he could answer, one of my teammates yelled out, D, none of the above. Well, that day I learned that it was possible for a human to turn a shade of red so dark that it favored the purple tint of a rare filet mignon. I don't know if my teammate survived practice that day, or, for that matter, if we ever heard from him again. But I knew one thing for sure. From then on, I would only address him with a phrase that started or ended with sir. Well, fast forward 4 years, and I'm sitting in his office/training room while he was taping my ankle, and you can add athletic trainer to his resume, when a little middle school kid came waltzing in uninvited. Well, I braced for impact as he uttered something like, "Son, did I give you permission to enter this office?" But as the frightened child tucked tail and ran away, Coach Arnold turned to me and chuckled. I love doing that. Oh, how my eyes were opened that day, realizing that my version of Bear Bryant had a sense of humor, and better yet, he shared that moment with me. That day was a catalyst to a mentor relationship that I have enjoyed to this day. To me, Coach Arnold has been more than a mentor. He's been a model for my life. He was my math teacher. I became a math teacher. He was my football coach. I became a football coach. He was my principal, and I became a principal. And while I may have walked my entire career in his footsteps, my size 13 shoes could never come close to filling them. The legacy that he leaves continues to impact the next generation of Patriots, and FCS can build for the future because of the foundations he laid over 44 years. Today we honor that legacy as you take your rightful place in the Patriot Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. King, for that introduction. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this extraordinary honor. Being inducted into the Florida Christian Athletic Hall of Fame is a moment that is truly humbling and one that I will cherish forever. Being involved in athletics has never been about personal achievement. It's really about the athletes who trusted me, the coaches who supported me, and the school community that rallied behind us. Every practice and every game, every loss and every win was a shared journey. And I'm grateful for that opportunity to have been a part in the lives of so many great individuals that I coached and labored with throughout the years. They taught me more than you could realize about resilience, about teamwork, about the power of faith and belief. I'd be remiss if I didn't also recognize my wife, Mary. Thank you for your unwavering support through the long hours and the endless seasons. To my fellow coaches who I've had the honor of working with. Your wisdom has shaped me and made me a better individual. And again, to the Hall of Fame committee, I want to thank you again for this immense honor. Now, I'd like to be able to stand here and recognize individually all of those that have played such a vital part in my life, but it would be an impossibility. You know, Tom Fowler has mentioned on several occasions how old he feels. Well, when I first came to Florida Christian, I coached Tom. Do the math. So, Tom, if you're feeling old, imagine where that puts me. Thank you. At least you acknowledged it. And then to be able to work with coaches like Ernie Padron, Octavio Delagrana, Robert Andrews, and others. You know, the impact that they have on your life. You know, the one thing I think that epitomizes Florida Christian School is not about championships. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm as competitive as the next individual. I'd much rather win than lose. But as an athletic program, that is not the overarching goal. Each one of these coaches and all of our athletics are committed to helping develop young men and young women into responsible adults. And that's what sets Florida Christian apart. And I am just so thankful to the Lord that I've had just a small part in the development of the athletic program here at Florida Christian. So once again, I'd just like to say to the athletes that I've been able to coach, to the coaches that I've worked with, to the teachers that have supported the athletics, thank you for being a part of my life.
I hear it's always a great day to be a Patriot. Today, an especially great one. Once again, will all of our inductees and Hall of Famers please stand one more time so Patriot Nation congratulate you. Now I'd like to invite varsity assistant basketball coach from the class of 2024, Christina Pernas, to lead us in the alma mater. Christina?
Good evening. If you would please stand and join me in singing the alma mater. Proud our colors do we wear, gleaming patriot faith in Christ we share. Long our hearts will beat for you through the years for which you guide. We will keep our patriot pride, raise our banner to the sky. Hail to Florida Christian High.
In a moment, I'd like to invite you to stay and offer your congratulations to our Hall of Famers. Please enjoy the refreshments in the back along with the photo opportunities. And be sure to visit the Hall of Fame recognition wall in the northwest corner of Alumni Gymnasium. Hall of Famers, this has been a historic evening for each and every one of you and for Patriot Nation. We're proud to welcome you home, and everyone is inviting you to return often to support and inspire the next generation of Patriot athletes. Thank you all for having me. It's been a pleasure being back for the ceremony. Thanks for being with us tonight to celebrate this excellence and legacy that marks the school in its 57-year history. There's only one thing left to say. Let's go, Patriots.